All right. So everyone, I just want to welcome you to Jumpstart's digital marketing cohort. We're really excited about the information that you are going to learn here today. Um, this is really a fast-paced program that we've put together, but it will be helpful in taking your digital marketing to the next level. That's really our goal, is to take it from good to great. So the only way it'll make a difference is if you're able to do everything that you've been taught, right? So not everything, but we want you to be able to practice and then implement what you feel will take your business to the next level. Now, what we've put together are items that we know that any business should be doing in order to improve their online presence. And so, if you're not able to, or if you're not willing to practice what you've been taught, then you've wasted these weeks of your life, and we don't want you to do that. So after each session, following this one, you will get homework that we will give you, and that will give you a better opportunity to practice what you've been taught and allow us to give you feedback on how to improve and make your techniques better. So we're all experts in our field, and we focus our business on the individual components that we're going to be teaching here today or over the next few weeks. At the end of the presentation, I will send you a PowerPoint of some main points that we've covered in the session. So feel free to take notes, but you will get a PowerPoint presentation as well. Now I'm going to have our presenters introduce ourselves, and then we'll get started. I'll start. So my name is Simone Cameron, and I'm the owner of Enic Marketing Group. We basically are a social media marketing firm, and we create content for our clients. That's what we do. We're content creators. We're buzz creators. Anything to make our clients' online presence make a buzz on social media. And our tagline is, it's your brand, we create the buzz. All right, Nooch, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. My name is Nachum Nooch Langsner. I am co-founder of Local Biz Guru, which is a full-service digital marketing agency here in Cleveland, Ohio. I've been in the SEO space for more than 12 years, and I've owned my own business for the last 4. And I'm really, really excited to be able to impart some of the knowledge and wisdom that I've been collecting over the years, and hopefully help you guys achieve online success.
Awesome, great, thank you. Wes.
Good morning, Wes Willis from XCOM. And we have 2 main business focuses, website design and pay-per-click advertising. And we're obviously going to be teaching the PPC class. We built our first website in 1994, and what I always tell my customers is I actually started out with a degree in marketing, worked at an IT company, sold cars for a while, so I'm kind of the used car salesman and computer geek rolled into one. So that's where we focus, is on web design and PPC.
Great, thank you, Wes. And Kevin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Cameron, and I am the owner and the operator of KC Films and Media, where we provide video marketing for businesses. So we do commercials, we do documentaries, we do short promos, we do long promos, we do it all when it comes to video, and we all know how important video is. So I've been in this space for a number of years, and we love to make businesses shine on the digital front, and we all know how important video is. So KC Films and Media, providing all of your video marketing needs.
Thank you, Kevin. So the 4 of us, we will be your presenters over the next few weeks. So, these sessions that we put together really are designed to give you, well, this particular session in particular is designed to give you the basic fundamentals of digital marketing. So, we're going to be talking about what it is, what it entails, and how it's broken down. So this session is really very conversational between the four of us, but we hope when it's your turn, you'll join in the conversation with us. So we'll get ready to start. So we really want to start by just talking about what are some of the most common forms of digital marketing. Because when you hear digital marketing, you may or may not know what that means. So we're going to talk about what is that? What does that look like? So what are some of those common forms of digital marketing? So let's start with Wes.
Me first. All right. Pay-per-click is one form of digital marketing. Pay-per-click, if you've ever done a Google search, and I think everyone in the world has done at least one in their life, you see at the top and bottom of a Google search, often you'll see a thing that says ad next to it. That's all that is somebody is paying for that ad location based on keywords they enter. So pay-per-click is just that. The beauty of pay-per-click is that it is pay-per-click. So somebody might see your ad and 10,000 people may see your ad, but until they actually click it and go to your website, you don't pay a dime. So unlike the old forms long ago, yellow pages, newspaper ad, print ads, stuff like that, where they advertised this is going out to 25,000 people, who knows how many people saw it out of that 25,000. But with Google and other pay-per-click campaigns, you know exactly how many people see it, and you know exactly how many people click it and go to your website. So it's an amazing form of effective digital marketing in that sense.
Awesome, good stuff. Nooch.
Yeah, so my field of expertise is SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. The search engine optimization is basically the process of getting your business and website found when people are doing a search online for either your goods, your services, or the subject matter that you promote. And unlike what Wes mentioned, where you pay for the visibility, search engine optimization is an organic process, and it's implementing various different tactics to get your website and or your business visible online organically. And we're going to dive deep into it, and it's really one of the most important aspects of digital marketing, because just about anybody and everybody that is looking for something will use a search engine to find answers to what they need. And so therefore it's critical as a business owner and as a business to be found. I always say it's not enough to be online, you need to get found. And that's what SEO is all about.
That's right. You got to be found in order to make an impact. Kevin Cameron.
Yes, so video marketing is dominating the digital space. But it also is something that is married to all the other strategies that exist digitally. So it's married to SEO, it's married to social media, it's married to pay-per-click. It's, you know, to being able to use video to your benefit and strategize how to use it, when to use it, when to have a professional video, when to go on FaceTime Live, when, you know, all of those things are important to how you push your strategy on video. When people wake up in the morning, one of the first things that they're doing, they're scrolling and they're watching. They're scrolling and they're watching. And so video marketing is a huge component that dominates the digital space, especially for business.
Right. And it's also married to Simone Cameron. So some of you might be wondering, Kevin and I are married. We get that question quite a lot during the sessions that we go through. We do a lot of sessions together and people are like, oh, you guys, we are. So some other assets and tactics that there are. So blogging. So you'll hear us talking about blogging. Nooch is going to touch on that quite extensively in his sessions as he goes deeper in it. Email marketing. So email marketing is a part of digital marketing. You know, being able to systematically send out emails to your customer, your client base. It's not just sending an email here and there, but there's a system to email marketing where you develop campaigns, and campaigns are based off of actions that might happen, maybe purchases, whatever it is. So there are campaigns that that you develop, and you have a system based on that. Public relations. So public relations is a part of digital marketing. So whether you're writing releases, press releases about a product launch or whatever it is, or, you know, you've got media relations, or you have, it's all entailed with content as well. So content creation. Brochures. So, you know, you've got assets like brochures, or any kind of, you know, when you're looking at graphic design work and things that you might develop as a result of that. And then all of this is just based on content marketing. You'll hear us talking about content and how content is king, right? So all of that encompasses content. Everything that we do is content. So we'll dive deeper into that. But we kind of want to hear from you as well, just if you can tell us which of these methods that we might have touched on. We touched on just briefly pay-per-click, SEO, video marketing, blogs, email marketing, PR, brochures, content marketing, and of course, we'll talk a little bit about social media. So which of these methods of digital marketing are you currently using? Are there any in your business that you're using right now that you can tell us about? Kovisa, I think I saw that you.
I am using, and it was funny when Wesley said, or was that Nooch? Someone said about Google, and I never noticed like the little ad there next to the, so like I went and Googled my industry to see, and it's funny because no one in my market advertises, but a lot of them pay to go on a larger, like the Knot, which is a big wedding website, and the Knot advertises here. So because they are on the Knot, that helps to throw them up. But it's interesting because sometimes, like I do a lot of posting. So it's interesting to see that our companies come up. Sometimes I'm number one, sometimes they're number one, I'm number four. So that's interesting to me because I'm always doing this about, do I need to do paid advertising? But so I don't do pay-per-click, but I call it more like trying to keep content per click. Video marketing is something that I would really like to do more of, but from our events, we get video clips back. So then I post those videos, which help. And like we probably have a 60% portfolio of weddings, which is like one of the highly viewed video things. So like I kind of slap my own hand because I could be better about it, but I'm just not. And then blogging is something that I've recently gotten into quite heavy because I really want to use the blogging as a tool to introduce the email marketing.
Awesome, that's great, good stuff. Glad to see that you're using so many of those assets. Anyone else want to share what they're doing?
I can go next.
Sure.
So I use a combination of all of these. So I kind of blog, but I don't know if it's really a blog. Just a couple years ago, I started doing topics called design discussions. And so I would create a topic for the month that I would kind of talk about and post a image board on my website and a short like blurb as to just general tips on like whatever that particular discussion was for the month. And then I would kind of link it to my social media, and each week post an image on either Instagram or Facebook that gave one of the tips that kind of connected back to my blog. So I was trying to circle like the social media and the blog together. For a while, I kind of stopped it, but then I started back earlier this year and kind of had my interns help me with that because it takes a lot to consistently do. But that's something that I've been doing and just recently started trying to do like video clips on Instagram for that. I use MailChimp to email clients once a month. We just recently started with COVID trying to do a lot more online design options for clients. And so I started creating design boards that were called looks of the month that would put together a shopping list for clients that they could purchase online. And so each month I do an email out to clients saying, this is our look, just kind of giving them information about it. And other than that, I don't really use MailChimp that much, but those are kind of like the main things that I use, and I post really heavily on Instagram. So
That is awesome. And especially in your industry, I love the fact that you're utilizing video, you're utilizing email. People want to be able to see your work, right? And so there are a lot of these that would be beneficial to you in your business. So good job. Glad to hear that. Anyone else want to share?
So we do Google Ads, which has been, it's a newer for me. So it's been a lot of like watching YouTube videos, trying to figure out the best way to do keywords and stuff. So it's definitely been a learning process, but it's increased our signups for our software. And then another big focus is email marketing. Like I use our CRM. I'm trying to come up with workflows of emails so people will try to use our product and feel like they have a personal connection with us. So it's been our main two. We do have a blog and social media, but they've kind of been, so they need more attention, definitely. It's something I really hope to improve. And that's it.
Good stuff. All right. Anyone else before we move on?
I can speak a little bit for Ivan and I. We do Google Ads, and I think that's working fairly well for us for a lot of our products, but we've also tried to tap into blogging, video marketing, just doing a lot of content creation, but we've really just touched the surface. And along with social media, just with COVID going on, it's challenging obviously to get out and go see customers and get out in the field. So trying to build a social media base, mainly with LinkedIn, seems to be our focus. We haven't really touched on Facebook or anything at the moment. So really excited to hear how we can move forward and create more content and be more efficient at it.
Good stuff. Awesome. Good. I'm glad to hear all of this. This is really great, great feedback. All right, we're gonna kind of step back to the 101 and talk about how to target your audience. So you would think we deal with a lot of businesses who are making millions and millions of dollars, right? So these are businesses, when you look at them and look at their clients, you would think that they are, they're the cream of the crop and they've got their stuff together and they know exactly what they're doing. But when I meet with some of these clients, sometimes they don't know. And so even when it comes to identifying your targeted audience, so who is my targeted audience? How can I find them? How can I identify them, right? And so that's a challenge for a lot of businesses. So I'm gonna have Nooch talk about how to identify your targeted audience. How do you do that, Nooch?
Thanks, Simone. So when it comes to being successful as a business or a brand owner, you really have to figure out what problems your target audience are facing and how your product or service can actually be a possible solution toward that. And so it's very, very important to understand your target audience, to figure out who will benefit most from your product or services, and really flesh out what those customers look like. What's their age group, their gender, what do they love, what do they hate, what do they fear, what do they, what do they spend their time on? Not just in the business world, but in their off time. Flesh out a really a comprehensive identity the demographic of your audience. All right. So again, understanding those pain points of your audience, that's really the starting point. Figuring out what are their pain points and how you can solve those problems, and defining the demographics, creating that persona, and then fleshing out that persona. And the reason why you want to do that, all of these things, is because one of the most important ways of getting your message to your potential customers is creating content. And if you don't understand who your target market is, and what those customers, potential customers, look like, your content is not going to have efficacy. You're going to be throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. Instead, once you understand who they are, what they're all about, you can start crafting content that is much more targeted and helpful to them. Because whatever it is that you do, okay, you're going to be a solution to somebody's problem. When you understand your target audience, your messaging is going to resonate with them much more if you understand who they are and what they're all about. So it's critically important to identify that target audience, flesh out that persona, and then start crafting messaging and content that's going to be addressed to them. And really, these personas, these profiles, the customer profiles, create as many as you need. Really, and by the way, when you start off, nothing is set in stone. This will evolve, and it should evolve as you progress as a business, as you evolve as a business. You should be revisiting what these customers and what your target audience need, and evolve those personas with your business. Because the better you get as a business, the better you get as identifying. You can focus on what works and discard what doesn't. So it's an evolutionary process, but it's critical to crafting a strategy to be effective in your business. Hope that answered it.
Yes, thank you, Nooch. And for those who are just joining us, we really just started talking about, we just identified some common forms of digital marketing, pay-per-click, search engine optimization, video marketing, social media, PR, blogs, email marketing, content marketing. And Nooch really just talked about how to identify your targeted audience and why that is important. So we're going to talk about branding now. And how important is branding for your business? So I'm going to have Kevin unmute and tell us about branding. Is branding something that we should be intentional about as entrepreneurs?
Absolutely, Simone. Here's an analogy. So Simone always looks good. You'll see her, she's smiling, she's happy, she dresses well, she's engaging, she carries herself a certain kind of way. So when you encounter Simone, she presents the type of brand to the world that she wants, because that's who she is. And so if you continue to build this relationship with her, you will see that that's who she is. And every time you see her, she'll be that way. So if perchance you were to see her and she's not looking good, or she's not being her regular self, you say something is wrong. Something's got to be wrong. That's not how she cares. Something's got to be wrong. And so you want people to look at your business the same way. So let's say, you present yourself one way, and then you have like a little mark, and everybody has a bad day or whatever with your business. And that's just real. But you want people to you want to be so consistent that people are like, oh, that's not them. That's not them. They are normally this way. So here are a few points. Like, branding promotes recognition. Your brand tells people about your business DNA, just like what I was saying. Your brand provides motivation and direction for your staff. A strong brand generates referrals. A strong brand helps customers know what to expect. Your brand represents you and your promise to your customer. Your brand helps you create clarity and allows you to stay focused. Your brand helps you connect with your customer emotionally, and a strong brand provides your business value. So it is so important. And we all have to be super intentional. So my slogan for my business is your story, our lens. So everything for me is a story. Everything's got to come back to the story. I tell stories, whether it's oral, whether it's through video, everything has to come back to the story. So we have to be super intentional about the brand that we put out there. We got to be consistent, because people are looking to see if what we say is true. And then when we're authentic to that and we're true to that, people will be committed and they'll want to do business with us.
So this is why I have to preface the session by saying Kevin and I are married because things like this come out, but there's some serious bias going on there. And I always tell Kevin he's super, super biased. So
Nooch and I are gorgeous too.
Right. Absolutely. Since Nooch, Wes just talked about you, so let's talk about SEO a little bit and dive a little bit into SEO. So SEO is something that trips people up a little bit. People understand social media. They understand what it means when we talk about Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, not necessarily how to master it, but they understand what it is. But when it comes to SEO, that trips people up a little bit, and they may or may not know what it's all about. So tell us a little bit about SEO and how that fits into the realm of digital marketing.
Okay, so the bottom line is that SEO, we touched on it slightly in the introduction. SEO stands for search engine optimization, and when people go online, and they're looking for something, they typically go to a search engine. Predominantly, it's Google in today's day and age, and they go and they look for whatever it is, an answer to a question, or a product, a service, etc. Okay, Google and search engines are in the business of matching the best answer to your search query. Okay, and so SEO is all about leveraging different tactics to make sure that your business and that your content is what Google chooses as a potential match. And the more that will occur, the higher the likelihood that you're going to get the business that you're looking for. And SEO is all about the foundation of SEO is really predicated on a solid website, making sure that your website is optimized. That's the foundation of your online presence. So making sure that your website is designed in a way that is intuitive and it gives a good user experience. And also the content on your website is necessary to drive the SEO forward. And what you need to do is establish what we call EAT, which stands for expertise, authority, and trust. And so anything that you can do in your content creation that will further people's perception of your expertise, your authority in your space, and trust, that's going to actually raise your business's profile, and the content that you create is going to get the visibility and it's going to drive conversions. We're going to get into it very, very deeply in our session, but that's a very basic simplification of what SEO is. But.
I love it. And so when you talk about SEO, you can't help but to talk about Google, right? They kind of go hand in hand. And so we write blog content for clients, and I believe Nooch, their company, does that as well. So when we write blog content, I remember this particular client, we sent them their blog, and they came back and the feedback was, you use this word a little, too many times, like, one too many times. Can you probably take this word out? And so what I have to explain to clients is we're not writing content for you or for even your viewers or, you know, people who are coming to your website. We're writing content for Google, because if Google likes the content, then Google will make sure that everybody sees the content, or, you know, the appropriate people see the content. If Google does not like your content, then, you know, that's just how it is. So you've got to make sure that your content is written appropriately for Google and it's SEO ranked. And Nooch will get into that a lot more into his in his session.
Yeah,
So,
I just want to add that to that point. It is critically important that you write your content or craft any of your content, whether it be written or video or anything. It's critically important to have your target audience in mind, but it's also critically important to optimize it and format it in a way that Google and other search engines are going to be able to process the information in a way that it understands it. So we're going to show you how to do that, to strike that balance between creating content for your users and potential clients, but also giving the necessary formatting that a search engine is going to be able to digest and understand what it's all about, and it will give you that visibility.
cool.
I have a question. Is there, can you give like a quick example, like a bird's eye view of what that could look like? Like the word that you might have used multiple times, like, can you share what the word is and what their space is and maybe why you use that word or why you felt Google would want to see that word?
Sure. So if, for example, it could be Cleveland Home Care or Cleveland Home Care Agency. So it's keywords. So you got to think about, what are people going to be searching for when they're searching for my business, right? So for you, like if you're talking about, you're in Cleveland, right? I think everybody here is in Cleveland, right? So, you know, you could be talking about Cleveland event planning or Cleveland event planner, right? So what are people going to be searching for? How are they going to find me? And so those are the terms that you're going to put in there, right? And so when Nooch does your session, he's going to show you a tool that you can use to make sure that, you know, whatever your keyword is, it's got to be in your blog so many times, and it's got to be placed strategically. So if you have a keyword, for example, if your keyword is Cleveland event planner, you can't have it as the very last word in your blog. You know, it'll say this, it's going to flag it to say, no, it's too low, or it needs to be higher, and it needs to be so many times throughout your document. So that session with Nooch, which is it's going to be the 5th session. So the second to last session that we're going to run, that's going to be key. And he's going to tell you and show you how to maximize your blogs with those keywords. So yeah, for example, I think it was like a Cleveland Home Care Agency. And so that was, I think that was the word. They were like, yeah, we get it that it's a Cleveland Home Care Agency. Well, you might get it if we say it once, but does Google get it because we said it once? And no. So hope that helps. So when you talk about SEO, you can't help but to talk about pay-per-click, because it's almost like this thing where people do the one or the other. Should we do SEO or should we do pay-per-click? Which one should we do? Sometimes there is a one or the other, and sometimes it is both, right? So Wes, we're gonna have you talk about PPC. What does that mean? How is it important, and who is it important for?
Yeah, PPC is the typical term. Also SEM, search engine marketing. PPC is pay-per-click. And like I said at the beginning, it's just those little ads at the top and bottom of Google. What it is, however, is basically instant gratification for your business. So that's why Nooch and I work together so much and so well, because SEO is really long term. You will not get on page 1 of Google by doing good SEO the first week or 2 that you do SEO. However, within 3 hours of putting up a pay-per-click ad, you can be on page 1 for your keywords. So it's really critical to have good keywords, which we'll be talking about, especially in my class. Nooch will be covering them, and we talked about them a little bit today. But that is going to be the heart of your ads and your ad organization, and why it's important to do them right, because your ads are going to be unlike some of the other things that everybody else will be teaching, like doing stuff on social media. You can get away with doing some things on social media for free and not spend any money. However, pay-per-click, you're going to be spending anytime it's running. And it's, like I said, it's instant gratification. So if you are testing a new product and you're like, we want to see what people think right now, today, you can be up and running today with a Google ad on page 1 and see what people think of your product. The disadvantage is once you stop paying, you stop running. You know, SEO, you start slow and you build up, and over time, then you keep running, and you may not put a lot of effort into it at the end of things, and you continue to run afterwards. But with pay-per-click, you're going to get cut off when you stop running. However, you can be on page 1, even against some other ones if you can afford it. And we're going to be talking about budgeting and stuff too. But we've had customers of all sizes use it. You've got the giant attorneys out there who pay $400, $500, $600, $700 per click. Every time somebody clicks their ad, they pay that much. But they're also getting $1 million cases, like the Tim Misneys of the world. But we've run some small campaigns too, where I had the example I always use is a small chocolate company in Akron. They just wanted a small region right around their store, and like 5 miles around their store. They paid $200 a month, and they got some great success with that because of that was just the exact target that they were looking for. So it can fit for anybody in most cases because it's such a powerful tool. Pay-per-click. You could, if you're Coca-Cola, you can run a pay-per-click campaign through Google AdWords. Or if you're Joe Bob's Car Care down the street, you can run a pay-per-click campaign through AdWords. So it's a very powerful tool and can be used for anybody. But I think the most important thing to remember is you can be on page 1 with a pay-per-click campaign within just a couple of hours of setting it up, and it can run as long as you can run it. And the idea there, obviously, is we're not trying to just spend money. We're trying to get people to click it and to buy stuff. So you're going to be tracking your success and hopefully seeing a lot of income that should continue the pay-per-click campaign by itself by paying its own way there. But in most cases, you're going to do SEO and pay-per-click together because you want to kick the SEO off and get it started, and then do pay-per-click to get on page 1 instantly, and then SEO will gradually catch up and may even pass your campaigns on PPC. So that's why they fit so well together.
Good information. So here's what I always do with clients, because I always get clients who come to me and say, which one should I do? Should I do pay-per-click or should I do SEO? So if you are, and so Wes really gave some key nuggets there. So I always say, like, if somebody comes to me and says, my business depends on this, the success of this campaign is going to make or break my business, and I'm going to decide what I'm going to do in terms of my business. Am I going to close my business? Am I going to, am I going to thrive? Like, what am I going to do? Don't do SEO at that point. Like, if you're talking about, I need the phones to ring today, or else I'm going to close tomorrow. You don't have the time to do SEO. And I even tell them, you don't even have the time to do social media at that point. You need to do pay-per-click. That's what you need to do, right? So it depends on your goals. But if you've got long-term goals and you want to be able to, for that to be sustainable, then we're talking about SEO, and then we're talking about social, right? And then you can, of course, infuse pay-per-click in there as well. And pay-per-click is really all dependent on budget as well. So we're going to be talking about that, but great info. And it's very, very effective if you know how to use it right. So we definitely want to teach you how to use it right. So we're going to be talking about video marketing right now. So, it's just video. Is that right, Kevin? Is it just video? Is video important? If so, why is it important?
Well, by now, I don't really have to convince many people that video is important. A few years back, people, had to be convinced, but by now, everybody understands the importance of video. Video has, as I mentioned before, has dominated every platform People are using YouTube as a search engine. It's the second largest search engine out there. People are typing in all kinds of regular things that they could type in Google, but they type it in YouTube because they want to find a video on that subject. And so imagine, imagine expecting someone to ask you to dance and you're not at the dance. That's just not going to happen. So if you expect people to see you, you have to have videos out there, right? And there's a number of things that we're going to get into when we get to my session. We're going to go through the whole thing, but I'll kind of explain to you one of the most crucial things when it comes to video, what video does and why it's so important, because video now builds trust with consumers. Video builds trust with consumers because, you know, when you see the interactions, when you see, it helps you to feel. And if you're dealing with customers, a lot of times customers, they make emotional decisions. And so being able to see, that's why so much money is put into big production for commercials, for just 15-second spots, 10-second spots, because we know psychologically what these things do to potential buyers. And so now you have the ability to make these things happen in the palm of your hand. And I'll be talking to how to make video with just your phone. And video doesn't even have to be perfect nowadays, right? You could take your raw live feed and create all of these interactions that you would not have been able to do before. Formatting of your videos, which we will talk about, is important too. And so most people are watching the videos the way that your phone is constructed. And so knowing when to do the wide format that you would watch on your television versus the more square format for your phone is important, you know. And so it builds trust, and video engages the laziest of people, right? And just simply because it's a video, you don't have to do anything, you don't even have to hear it. And so that's why it's important for people to understand that subtitles and captions are super important, because a lot of people are scrolling and watching and not even hearing the sound. And still decisions are being made through video, and they're not even hearing, they're just seeing. There's a great return on investment with video, great return on investment through video. And there's so many ways that you can see the analytics as to who is, and Google, and Facebook, all these different platforms give you free insights on who is sharing your video, how many people are watching it, how many people go on your profile. All these things are there for you to see just based on video. How many people here are convinced that they have to be doing video? All right, some of you are convinced. Some of you I'll never see on here, on your video. But yeah, video is highly important for your strategy, for your business, even if, and we're gonna talk about B2B a little bit later on, but video is so important. And as we go through, we'll hit some more points on it. But if you are not doing video, it's important to create a strategy whereby you can do video, because one of the hardest things is finding the time and being consistent. And we'll talk about that.
Awesome. So how many of you are guilty of watching videos with the sound off? I know I'm not the only one. Yes. I watch videos all the time with the sound off. And I don't know why. It's just something that we do, right? It's only when you're really interested in the content that you click and you want to hear what they're saying. Otherwise, we're content to just watch and maybe trying to figure out what's happening. So yes, video is taking the world by storm, and it is really driving most of the online traffic nowadays. When you're scrolling, through social media, people will scroll by content and people will stop almost every time that there's a video because they want to see what that's about. Whether or not they click to hear it, they will stop. So that's how important video is. So I kind of want to know from you, like, how are you utilizing videos? Are you, first of all, I heard some of you say that you are using videos. And if you are using videos, how are you doing that? Who wants to share?
I'm using videos from previous clients just to show the experience, how it came together. And then like some videos we have where you can see us working. So trying to use simultaneously, here's us working, here's the end result. And it kind of resonates when people see other people enjoying their event.
Yeah, one of the best things is to be authentic, because people are interested in how things work and how things get done. And so if you can open up yourself to that, it really engages people. I don't know if you remember the series. I mean, I'm definitely older than I look. But you remember these series, how things work? Is that how things are made? How it's made? Like, and then it's big production. You got to go to the Hershey, how chocolate is made, all this. So now you can bring people in on how you do things, how you engage customers. So then you become, so now I'm talking about things I want to talk about later. It always happens with all four of us. But now you bring people in on what you do, and then it builds this trust, and it helps people to be educated. And then they look at you as a leader and a resource, right? Because they have questions, they can come to you for the answer. And then there's this soft sell. People are kind of turned off with the blatant sell, like, so if you need any help, call me. No, I'm not calling you. But if you show me how to do things, I'll be like, oh, okay. So then I try it doesn't work. Let me call this guy, he can help me. Or let me call this girl, she can help me, right? So this authentic, showing the events and going behind the scenes, all of those things are very helpful to the bottom line.
Awesome. I see Jeff says that he's not using video yet, but expects it to be the next big thing that they tackle in marketing. Video is the #1 thing that he wants from this workshop. Well, that's great, Jeff. And the video session is a favorite of the participants because it's a lot of fun, and you do get to walk away with something tangible. So you'll enjoy that session. Wes, yes, video is absolutely huge right now. And Jonathan says we're using video in Facebook and Instagram ads. So very cool. I do want to, before I touch on that, want to talk about something that Covisa said, and that is the fact that she is using user-generated content. And so that is huge. So she's taking content from other people, right? And so she's using it in her own social media. And I absolutely love that. User-generated content is, as Kevin says, is very authentic, right? And it shows that it's not like you're not using, stock footage or whatever, and it's showing a different vantage point of your events, for example, right? And so I love that you're doing that. So so keep that up. That is great. Anyone else want to share? I think Jakisha, you wanted to share, right? Did you? No. Oh, you just muted.
Sorry. I was going to say I recently started doing Instagram lives once a week to coordinate with the content that I was putting out on a week as far as our design discussions. So a friend had told me that I really didn't want to do video because I personally don't like my quote unquote face being the face of the company, even though it's just me and a couple of my interns. I came from a corporate background where the designs were the face of the company, right? So I didn't want to put a lot of video content out where it was talking about where it was just me. But she was like, people have to see you. They have to be familiar. They have to become comfortable. And so I started this Instagram challenge to go live once a week. And it's really hard for me, but putting out the content and like creating the content has been good, and like getting that out there that, we, are quote unquote experts in the field. So that's one thing that I recently started. But another thing that's more of a long-term thing is I worked with a friend who does video, and he has been starting to follow me around on a project that we know is going to be a year-long process. And so I was starting to document like the phases of the design process, and really start what we call it like debunking myths of design, and talking about how, the HGTV culture really isn't real, and like how kind of like the real steps in the design process. So that's something that's still in motion now. We haven't really like released anything, but that's kind of like where we want to go with video.
Cool. So I'm just, that's great. And so I have to tell you, Jakisha, it's not just you, it's very difficult to be able to stick to something like that, like especially when you're going live so often, right? And so it's great that you're doing that. And so I think that that's awesome, but it's definitely not easy, right? And so none of us, well, I shouldn't say none of us, not many people like to see themselves on video. I know I absolutely hate it. Kevin has to force me to do video, and people are like, you have this guy living in your house. But I hate to see myself on video. I hate the way my voice sounds. I just can't, I don't like it at all, right? And it's like I think it also depends on your age too, because my kids, like one of my daughters, she loves that, and she wants, she likes to see herself on there and that, but I don't like it one bit. But it's something that we know that we have to do. We see things differently than other people see, right? So it's, and I do agree that people need to see you, depending on your brand and what your brand is. People need to, I'm my brand, right? And so if I ever, if you ever look at my social media, you'll see me all over it. And that's just only because I'm forcing myself to be my brand, because I am my brand. But Jeff, I see your comment in here about, the user-generated content. We won't be going into that much, but I put a note down because I might incorporate that into my session. It's a great one for, I also do a Instagram session for Jumpstart, and so that would be a great one for the Instagram session. But I did put a note down so that I could maybe touch on that when we do social media next week. And it's not necessarily social media, it's more Facebook next week. Anyone else wants to share what they're doing with video? Yeah, go ahead, Lyndon.
We have a YouTube channel, and there hasn't been a new video out in a really long time, which is a whole nother situation. But this might be a very generational thing of us, but we started getting on TikTok and had users showing each other babysitting and doing virtual care, like digital care sits on Zoom. And we only have like 1 or 2 videos up because COVID, and our team is very, very remote now. And I don't have kids, so our kid generated content can't come from me. So we do have a couple of videos out on TikTok, and then of our own. And then we also share those video content to our Instagram and social platforms to give that video content. And then kind of like what was said before is I'm on live all the time and showing my face, and it's been huge, and it's been really helpful. TikTok in general it's a new thing and it's fun to do, but we've noticed people really liking it, so we've stuck with it for a while.
Yay, I'm so glad to hear that somebody's using TikTok. That is awesome. And I think TikTok would be great. It is great for your business. And TikTok is great for some of you on here as well. So if you're not utilizing TikTok, I think that you should think about it. Kovisa, I think it's good for you. And Jakisha, I think it's good for you. Some others as well. So, it's something that people kind of go, but if you've got a young person in your household, they are probably a TikTok master. And so you need to talk to them about utilizing TikTok, or somebody that that has like a teenage child. They are a master on TikTok. And so I'm going to be doing a TikTok session for Jumpstart, and I'm going to be co-hosting it with my daughter. And so it's going to be a whole lot of fun, right? So she is a TikTok queen, and I don't know anyone who knows TikTok better than she does. So she's a queen at TikTok. So good. I'm glad to hear that you're doing that. Anyone else want to share? All right, good stuff. I'm loving the feedback. So I want to just talk quickly about social media, because as I said, the session next week is not necessarily on social media. It's more Facebook marketing. But really, when we're talking about social media, it's really about promoting your brand and your content. And what are the purposes of doing that? You want to increase brand awareness. That is the number one reason why you should be on social media, is to increase your brand awareness and engage with your audience. So those two things, you want to engage with your audience, you want to talk back to people, you want to have customer service for them, you want to have a platform for them to talk to you and for you to engage with them and increase your brand awareness. Your number one goal to be on social should not be to sell. So that is not your number one goal on social media. And if that is your number one goal, then you kind of have to redirect yourself. When you've got to get into that mindset in terms of, my goal when I'm on here is to increase my brand recognition and engage with people. You also want to drive traffic, right, to your website. Once you get that once you get that mindset that this is really why I'm here on social, it's really going to help your business, because people are going to tell others, right? And so when recommendations happen and referrals happen all the time on social. How many times you're on social and somebody says, hey, I'm getting married and I need anybody know a good event planner, or I'm doing this, or we're renovating. How many people were renovating their homes during COVID? Like, everyone was doing that, right? Or doing something to their homes in COVID. And do you know somebody who? Social media is all about, do you know somebody who, or somebody who does whatever, right? And so referrals happen all the time on social. Sometimes it misses us and we don't even realize that it's a referral that's happening. But when you are there for your clients and your customers, they're going to tell somebody else, right? And so it's great for you to understand that it's there for that reason. And so sometimes we tend to want to be really wordy on social or not say enough at all. So it's really great when you want to be wordy to drive traffic to your website. Your website is going to do the selling for you. That's really what it's there for, right? And so we'll talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of driving traffic to your website. You want to do it, but there are disadvantages to doing that. So we'll talk about that next week as well. And so obviously, social media will help you to generate leads as well. But I really want to drive home the fact that it's there to help you to engage and to get in conversations with the people that you're connected with, because a lot of people will post and leave and never come back until they post and leave and post and leave, and then they completely forget that they have to do the engagement. So people are commenting, people are inboxing. Are you there so that they know that there's a real person that's behind the screen? I remember I started to work with someone, and so we talked about the fact that you need to check your inbox messages, and she said to me, oh, we don't get any inbox messages, so you won't have to worry about that too much. And I was like, okay, no problem. And I said, because of her business, she's a e-commerce business, and I said, I'm really surprised that you don't get any inbox messages. Like, people should be saying, do you have this available? Do you have this in this size? And whatever the questions are. So I said, I'm really surprised that you don't get inbox messages. And so I said, well, let's just check. she had all these inbox messages from people wanting to place orders. And it was such a shock to her. She was nearly in tears. And so she was like, what am I supposed to do about this? And some of them were like from a year ago and months. And I was like, you can't respond to people. These are lost sales. These are all lost sales right now. And you can't deal with that right now. And so she was literally almost in tears. There were tears in her eyes because she's like, I didn't even realize that this was there. Like, this is money that I really threw away. So, you know, it's there for a reason for you to provide that customer service kind of a experience for your customers and your clients. So Kevin kind of touched on this a little bit when we talked about B2C and B2B and does it work for digital marketing? So let's talk about B2B businesses and B2C businesses. Does digital marketing work for both of those? Or does it work for one or the other? Wes, you want to start us off?
Yeah, in pay-per-click, it does work for both B2B and B2C. Obviously, a much bigger market segment there for B2C, but it really depends on who you are and what you do. The one thing I always tell people is you have to take a look at your industry and see who your customer is based on, like we talked about before, your target audience, and see if they are going to be going on Google doing searches for the business. I have a few industrial customers where I told them it might not be the best use of your dollars. You might be better off doing SEO and some other things, focusing more in your industry. But pay-per-click does work for both. One of the things I think Nooch mentioned is something Google's job is to do is to put people in front of you. When you run pay-per-click ads, they want to match you up with somebody who wants to buy. I have a lot of people that attend these classes always say, well, I see those ads, I never click on them. And I always tell them the same thing. Well, I see the ads and I click on them because if I'm going to buy something, it's somebody who's selling this item. So it's like seeing Nike's ad at the top when you're looking for tennis shoes and not clicking on it because it's an ad. Well, no, you want to buy shoes, they've got them. Google's job is to match you up with somebody doing a search. And was it Kavisa that said that she didn't notice those little ad things there? A lot of people don't notice their ads. They're designed to fit with the organics. So they do work on everybody, and it does help people out because you're selling a good product or service. So yeah, it actually works with B2B and B2C. There are some times when it may not work effectively, and those are the times where it's just not a good fit, but that's pretty rare.
Cool. The thing I like about those ads, if you're shopping for something specific like tennis shoes, as you said, when you click on the ads, chances are they've got a deal for whatever it is that you're shopping for. So those ads are really, really effective for that.
That's right. Plus they follow you around the internet forever.
They sure do. They sure do. Kevin, what do you think about B2B or B2C businesses?
Yeah, so B2C is clear, like that's the world that we live in. It is super effective, and it also is effective B2B because you could involve video with your email marketing campaigns. You could be introducing yourself B2B. You could use video all different types of ways when you're dealing with other businesses, and it's actually allows you to stand out a little bit because a lot of businesses don't want to go the extra mile and do these little video things when it comes to business to business. And so you stand out when you use video B2B. B2C is self-explanatory. You know, do everything you can, all the platforms, all the different strategies, all the different methods. But I would not ignore that B2B component. It's effective.
Nice.
Can I add something real quick? I mentioned this last cohort. I was on YouTube watching some videos and an ad popped up for these really cool flashlights. I'm like, that's a heck of I did great video at night to show how powerful, and I ordered them. So that's B2C. And then a few years ago, I was looking for a color printer and I stumbled across a company that sells printers, and they put them side by side and ran them side by side and said, here's the best color printer. Here's how much it costs. Here's how much prints cost. And I ordered from them because they did that test. It's awesome. And that's the B2B.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very good.
I do research all the time about equipment, software, editing. I do it all the time. So I look to other businesses that do what I do to see what kind of educational tips they have for me or whatever recommendations. And so you too can be that resource for another business who might be shopping for information.
Nice. Nooch, anything to add?
Yeah. So as it pertains to SEO, everyone was saying, yes, there's no question that in the B2C arena, it's kind of obvious, especially when those people are searching for specific products. But on the B2B side, SEO is also really beneficial. Um, in establishing yourself as the authority in your space and your expertise, et cetera, et cetera. Now, while it could be, and more than likely is, that the sales cycle for a B2B customer may be much longer, and because of that, there's a lot more things that you need to be, a lot more content that you need to be crafting based on that cycle. At the end of the day, implementing SEO tactics will get that content visible. And I just came for my own business. Here's another aspect that many business owners don't think about, but COVID forced me to think about. Oftentimes we think of crafting content and implementing SEO to get customers. Well, during COVID, as a business, we were forced to reevaluate everything that we do and how we do it, because a lot of our clients went out of business, unfortunately, and we had to pivot, and we really had to cut the fat. And one of the things that we as a business had to do, and we put a heavy focus on, was aligning ourselves with strategic partners. And how do you find those strategic partners? You find strategic partners, even though you may not be able to provide, but you want to be able to provide services for your customers. So you want to create and establish relationships with strategic partners. Well, how do you find those strategic partners? You research the industries and what, are these people the kind of business that I would be able to work well with? And guess what? Businesses that had a lousy online presence didn't make the cut. But businesses that had a robust profile of quality content, whether it be video, whether it be podcasts, whether it be blogging, how their website conveyed their information. That was critical, and we've set ourselves up. Hopefully, we're better for it as a company, because we've created and we're actively looking for strategic partners. Well, in the B2B space, that's what you're trying to do. You're not just trying to sell to other companies. You're also trying to create, organize a team of providers that you can help your customers with. So SEO is going to help you get in front of potential strategic partners as well. So that was a real life example, I know, in my business and a lot of others as well, in that SEO really helped a lot in our ability to find those strategic partners.
Nice, good stuff. Thank you, Nooch. I know when it comes to me and social media, people always say to me, well, I'm B2B. And how many of you, well, you can raise your hand or you don't have to, but how many of you think this? I'm B2B, and so social media does not work for me, right? And so I'm a B2B company. all of us, we're all B2B companies, right? So Wes, Kevin, Nooch, we're all B2B companies, and we utilize social media, right? So I get so many people who might see me on social and reach out to me. And what I always tell people is, yes, you're B2B, you're selling to businesses, but who's running those businesses? People are running those businesses. And where are those people? They're on social. So they're on social, you know, they're for social reasons, but your business pops up. And because they are a targeted audience for you, they're interested in your content, right? And so that's how you're able to get them. And so people are, you know, they'll think, oh yeah, you're right, because you know, I'm a business, but I'm on social, and so I've bought stuff on social before, or you know, I've seen people on social and been interested in their content. So don't shy away from it because you might be a B2B business. The people that you're selling to who are part of those businesses are also on social. So
I just wanted to add to that quickly, and it dovetails very well with what Kevin was saying, and specifically Jakisha. The, people like doing business with people. Okay, it's all about personality, you know, personal, authentic connections, and that's why, you know, Kevin recommended Jakisha get in front of that camera, whether you like the way you look or not in front of the camera. I'm telling you, people love authentic people. People do business with people. It's not about doing business with companies. As much as possible, you know, humanize it. And so you know, being active on social media shows that human side of you, because we're all human and we want to get to know each other better. Social media is the perfect platform to do that. So even as a business, you want to humanize your business. You want to enable people to see who the authentic you is. And so social media is a perfect opportunity to do that.
awesome. Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Nooch. And it's absolutely true that people really do want to do business with people that, check this out. People want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust, right? And so how are people going to know, like, and trust you, right? Because they're not in front of you. They're going to know that through what you put out there online, right? And people feel like they know you. You know, people feel like, it's funny, it was Kevin's birthday the other day. And so Kevin's very active on social media. It was his birthday on Monday. And he got so many messages from people that he just does not know at all. And so it's people who have connected with him on social and feel like they know him. And he doesn't know who they are, but they feel, as long as people feel like they know you, they're gonna like you, they're gonna trust you. And then after that, that's when people will do business with you. So so we talked to you about what are you doing
Sorry,
on.
Simone.
Yep, go ahead.
And it's so true. I mean, it is a challenge for a lot of people to be on social that way, especially on video, but it does pay off. So it's true what Simone said. So I have people who I do not speak to on social. I don't speak to them. I don't really know them. And I've seen messages come up, hey, whether it's like just a lighthearted discussion, we're gonna need Kevin to make the video for the such and such. So these people know things about me and I don't know them, but they know what I do, right? And then in the conversation on social, it just, for me, it's always around media. It's always around media with me. And so the more that you do that, people will look to you as the lead. Hey, if you need something, you know, Alexandra, she can handle that for you, or Ivan, you know. So the more you put it pays off. And even if it's on the non-business side, so because I got the business side on social, and then my personal side, I don't talk about business, but people always involve my business with me on my personal side. So it works. And then one more thing, I do trick people. So on my personal, I like talk about my video stuff, but it's like I'll post like a family video, right? And so although it's a family video, I kind of put a little effort into it And then people are like, oh man, how does he get his family stuff to look so good, right? And so it's family, personal, but then it's business, right? So that works for me. I'm not sure if you have to find what works for you. So you got to use social and video to your advantage.
Right. And spin it in different ways, right? So how you are posting on your personal and how you're posting on your business and being strategic about it. So absolutely good points. So we heard from you already about, what it is that you're doing and how you're using content online, but kind of want to hear from you when it comes to what you're seeing out there. It could be your competitors. So what tactics are you seeing that your competitors are using, or people in your industry that they're using, that you feel that's really effective? What are some things that you're seeing out there that you're like, this is really good stuff? Anything?
I feel like with one of our competitors, again, just going back to LinkedIn, maybe that's just where we've been focusing. So that's where I've been seeing a lot of content. But with what Kevin was saying too, just videos, short little snippet videos, and it really catches your attention because then you click on it and then it leads you into more content. And I find that to be beneficial. So I know we're trying to work with more videos and get that to our YouTube channel, but especially with COVID and like what you were mentioning, Simone, you just scroll, even if there's no sound to it, you still watch the video regardless, and that's still getting your brand out there, even if you're not in tune to it. But I find videos is, again, with COVID, just really a beneficial opportunity. And our competitors are doing that a lot too.
Good. Well, that's great. Awesome. Anyone else? Nothing that you're seeing? Lyndon, you don't see anything out there that you're like, this is pretty cool?
There are every once in a while. Nothing in particular at the moment that I can think of, but.
Is there anyone in your space that's on TikTok?
That's a good question. I haven't gone out and looked to see, but I do stalk our competitors frequently, and I note things down all the time. I'm like, I need to do this on social media, or like, why aren't I doing that? And kind of figuring out how to do it and figuring out why I'm not doing it. Our social media platforms are always changing because of watching other people and seeing what other people are also doing.
Right. So that's really, really key. And I love that you said that. You really do have to stalk your competitors, and you have to be in the know as to what it is that they're doing. You just have to.
It was crazy. Like our app is getting a bunch of new features and updates, and one of the things that one of our competitors had posted actually literally yesterday was like, have you checked out our new website? Like, it's awesome and it's brand new and it's sexy and sleek. Like, go look at it. Like, you don't want to miss this. And so I was like, oh my gosh, we're like about to update our branding and all of our website stuff too. And we're adding all these cool features in the app. Like, why aren't we announcing that kind of stuff? And so it's on my list of things now. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Like, who isn't excited about a new feature in an app that they love? So
awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, you have to make sure, because I mean, it could be simple things like that. Like, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Why aren't we doing that? And so you absolutely have to, and they might be looking at you too, saying, well, they've got some things going on. So that's great. Erin, did you say that you're new in terms of the marketing, being on the marketing team there?
Yeah. So I'm new to it. I was more involved with customer success before, and we're getting a little bit smaller at the moment. So I'm taking on more digital marketing. I've noticed with the competitors, there's not a lot on social media. I mean, we're board portal software for like nonprofits, basically. So that's been something I've wondered if we could, get ourselves out there in a way that our competitors aren't by doing it first.
Yeah.
But it's hard to come up with ideas.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you kind of, because once you're out there and you're kind of setting the tone and you're the leader in that space, then you'll see people follow. because, they're all like, nobody else is doing it. So, but you absolutely, nowadays, I always say to people that not having an online presence, especially when it comes to social, is a bit weird. It's almost like not having a website. Like, why don't you have a website? Like in 2020, you don't have a website. It's almost like it's 2020. Why aren't you online? Like, why aren't you on social? It's just, so yeah, so I would highly recommend that, you become that leader in that space. So that's
We're worried now that we have Facebook and Instagram, but we haven't touched them in so long. It's almost worse that we have it. And if someone were to look us up and see that, they're like, oh, well, this business isn't active, then, not. So that's something I definitely want to improve.
Well, don't touch it until you're ready to be consistent with it. So leave it the way it is until you can devote some time. You can say whether, you're going to be doing it 3 days a week or whatever it is, then you're going to do it. But if you feel like, I don't know when, and you're going to do one here and it's going to be sporadic, just leave it the way it is until you can say, okay, I'm going to be consistent with this.
That's what we ended up doing for social media as well, like kind of being new into the world of a job. Like I just graduated and whatever, so there was like a weird gap of like everything political happening right now. I don't want to step in on social media and say stupid stuff that is almost irrelevant to people these days, and everybody wants to hear about what's going on in the news. And so our social media had this weird break because COVID happened, and we were like all over social media making these statements about COVID and don't use our app because it's childcare, swapping care. Like, you don't want to get COVID from that. And so we went kind of dead on social media. And now we're in this spot of like, okay, it's time to post stuff again. It's time to be back in action. And we're getting there slowly, not super consistent yet again, but it is weird. Like, we need to have this plan first before we start posting everything again and getting our stuff back out there. It's been really complicated and puts marketing people in a weird position because you don't want to say something wrong and you don't want to put irrelevant content out either.
For sure. So this is so interesting that you just brought up this point, Lyndon. So I feel like so many businesses, when it came to COVID, had to pivot, right? They completely had to pivot because our world just shifted, right? And so for a business like yours, you talked about the fact that it's, childcare, you got this app and it's swapping and whatever. So the pivot for your business could be that, you're giving ideas, you're giving tips and information to people. And so what happened with COVID was everybody was now stuck, because that's how some people felt, stuck with their kids at home, right? And so you're now giving people tips and information, because that's still your space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tips and information on what you can do with kids at home. What are some activities that you can do? How can you not, tear your hair out? So you're kind of pivoting a little bit in terms of what it is, the content that you're putting out there. You're no longer selling your product, or you're no longer promoting your services or your brand or, your app or whatever, but you still want to have some sort of a voice in that space. And so you're just kind of shifting your content a little bit. I'm sure some of you really, Covisa, I'm sure for you too, you had to there was a time when nobody was doing events, right? No one. Like, it's just stay home and all the events got canceled, right? And so you've got to kind of pivot and make sure that you're still able to have some voice out there. So it's strategizing really at that point. So.
And along with the B2B and B2C conversation, it's like we were a B2C business and now we're both. So it's like there's two different streams now, and marketing to both of them differently is another thing we've been strategizing to. So our pivot was B2B instead of B2C, and making partnerships and forming these benefits for companies. And so now we're speaking to two entirely different audiences. And as a team, we're trying to figure out what that voice is actually right now. So
that's awesome. Good. I love pivoting. That's great. Good stuff. All right, so we're going to be talking about the web presence, right? Because I mean, you've got this website, and as I said, 2020, you've got to have a website, and I'm sure everybody here does have some form of web presence. But how do you, just to have a web presence is one thing, but let's talk about having a strong web presence. And so, Nooch, can you talk to us about how important it is to kind of have this strong web presence, and how can we build that? How can we make our web presence strong?
Okay, thanks, Simone. So when it comes to web presence or web presence marketing, I basically boil it down to 6 areas of focus. Okay, the foundation of your digital presence, of your online presence, is going to be your website. So it's going to be critical that you make sure that your website and your content is optimized, is effective, and it can be found by the search engines. That's that is job number 1. That is absolutely critical to have the optimized website. Here we go. Now, optimizing your website includes many things. Making sure that your website is mobilely responsive so that it can actually be viewed effectively on any device. Make sure that it's optimized for speed so that there's no lag, and that people get and are able to navigate your website quickly and efficiently. Make sure that the content is optimized with on-page optimization. Make sure the images are not bloated and are optimized. Make sure that you're creating links between you and other high authority websites. So that's area number 1, your SEO and your website. The next one is content creation. Okay, creating content. Google loves high quality content because it helps users find the answers they need. So it's critical to impress Google and thereby your audience by creating high quality optimized content. And content is not restricted to writing. Content includes videos, includes white papers, infographics, blogs, email marketing, podcasts. There's so many different ways to create and disseminate content. But content is going to be very, very key and important in helping you establish your expertise and authority, and thereby increasing and improving your web presence. The third component is social media. Get social. You need to be able to disseminate your content and engage with your target audience on social media channels that they hang out on, right? Remember when we spoke about the persona, creating that target audience? Well, one of the aspects is understanding where your clients, your potential clients and customers hang out. And you want to engage with them on the social media channels that they hang out. So some of you may be engaging on TikTok if the demographic fits. It could be on Facebook, or if it's a B2B, it could be on LinkedIn. Either way, the bottom line is you want to engage, and social media is all about brand awareness and engagement, and you need to go where they're hanging out. And each channel, in each social media channel, has its own dynamic and focus. And so it's important that when you're on those channels, your content and your engagement is consistent with that channel. And I always say that social media marketing is like dating. If you're only going to be talking about yourself, you're not going to get a second date. That's the bottom line. You have to be interesting. And so yes, you can share your own content, but you're going to be much more interesting if you're sharing other people's content as well. And I advocate the 4-in-1 method. For every one piece of content that you create and you share, you should be sharing 4 other pieces of content from others, right? That will help establish trust and credibility. And like we said before, when you're authentic, people like to do business with people they know, trust, and this is the way to do it on social media. And I can't stress enough: be authentic, be yourself. Do not try to create a veneer. It's much more effective, and it resonates much more deeply with authentic and real content and engagement. The next component of your web presence marketing is pay-per-click advertising or search engine marketing. Sometimes in order to get noticed online, you need to engage paid marketing, right? This includes pay-per-click, social media advertising, retargeting. It is a critical part of getting your web presence out there. And oftentimes it's overlooked, especially if you're a new business. You're able to use pay-per-click advertising to get instant traffic, to test your website, and whether or not the design of your website is intuitive. You can actually gauge and see, are people going through your website, through the funnel, the way you designed it or not? And this is a perfect method of getting noticed online and getting that critical traffic. So search engine marketing and pay-per-click advertising is another very, very effective and critical part of your web presence marketing. The next part is your reviews, your business listings and reviews. Having your business information and different aspects of your business and your business's offering consistent across the web is going to establish trust, and especially on the platforms where customers can leave reviews. So you're one of the most effective, probably the most effective, and it is free, is your Google My Business presence. It's even more vital than ever, because your Google My Business profile, your Yelp profile, your Apple Maps profile, these are some of the core, your Facebook profile, these are some of the core areas where people engage, leave reviews, and is able to create an online reputation. And your online reputation is your lifeblood for future and continued success online. So your reputation and your business listings is very, very key. And it's becoming even more important now that search is shifting from the keyboard to the voice search. So the more you can enrich the content on these profiles, the more likely that your business is going to be selected by the voice search algorithms, like Alexa or Siri or the various different voice search platforms. The biggest challenge with the voice search is they typically only give one result. So the more you can enrich the content on those profiles, the better off you're going to be. And then the next thing is always analyze your results and your progress. Track your performance, adjust as necessary. The beauty of digital marketing is you can make data-driven decisions. There's, everything is trackable. Everything is able to be assessed and measured if you know what you're doing. So make sure that you're doing everything in your power to be able to track everything that you create and the effectiveness of those things. One of those things is customizing the URLs with UTM codes, and we'll get into that in our session. And so you can personalize it to each channel, social media channel, and you can actually track which social media channels are being more effective than the others, what kind of content is more effective. And then once you get an idea of what is working and what isn't working, you can focus on what does and discard what doesn't. And like I said, make data-driven decisions. And so all of those 6 components, it's basically rinse and repeat, and just constantly working on improving your web presence.
Good information. That's great. And so definitely, you know, Nooch is going to be expanding on most of those during his session. So, you know, we've got 15 minutes left. And so in the rest of the time that we have left, I really want to talk about some areas that we should focus on, because what happens is you learn so much information, you know, when you're finished this cohort. You learn a lot, and so people leave and they generally say, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. There's just so much information. What do I focus on? So we want to talk about, you know, what are some areas that you should focus on, or some things that you should focus on with these individual areas. So Wes, let's talk about pay-per-click.
Keywords, that's it. Okay, so keywords are one of the most important. Nooch and I will probably both be addressing these pretty heavily. I spend a lot of time on keywords because they can make you money or they can cost you money on pay-per-click. When you're getting searches, you want to make sure that they are getting clicks from your ads. They're the right people. If one of my examples was a campaign I ran for a gearing company. They made gearboxes for conveyor belts, and that's all they did, just gearboxes for conveyor belts. Well, we ran a campaign. I actually took over the one campaign. I had to straighten it out because they were getting searches for car gears and anything related to gears, anything with the word gear in it, because they didn't spend time filtering out their search results. They didn't spend time, like Nooch just said, analyzing their results, and they didn't spend time on their keywords. With pay-per-click, the ads will come to you. You probably already have ads in your head. If it's your business, you know it inside and out. So writing an ad for it is not a big deal. In most cases, we'll be going through all that. But the most important thing you can spend time on is putting together a solid, good list of keywords, and then using some of the tools, and then let other people look at it. Let friends and family and business associates look at it. Ask them what they do, how they would come to find your business. You might be surprised at the words they type in. My wife's business was a good example. We put a little campaign together for her. Before we did that, we started researching what the analytics, Google Analytics, were saying about her business. And she sells supplies to zoos and animal sanctuaries, and one of her big things is signage. And one thing she did not take into account was a specific keyword that was a good fit for her, but it never occurred to her, so it wasn't in the list she gave me. So you have to look at your results after you run them, but you also have to plan and take your time putting together a keyword list. People usually just throw some words up, and then you start getting results you don't want. You start paying a lot of money for that too.
Good stuff. Awesome. Kevin, video focus.
Okay, so there's a lot of things we could talk about, but we're going to take it right back to the basics. So the thing that you should focus on is identify whose responsibility it is. Okay, find out who is responsible for getting the videos done. Okay, who's going, and then who is going to do the work, because it may not be the same people, but somebody may be responsible for it, like a marketing person. And then who are you going to hire somebody, or are you going to do it yourself? You need to identify who's going to actually get the work done. Then the next thing you need to focus on, you need to develop a plan of execution. So who are we targeting? What platforms are we going to use? How often are we going to post videos? And what types of videos are we going to make? And so we're going to talk specifically about those types of things in my session. But once again, it's identify, because a lot of times this gets just left undone because we don't know whose responsibility it is. And then we're going to know, are we going to hire a production company to do it? Are we going to do it ourselves? Develop the plan as to how the videos are going to get done, decide who the target market is, what platforms are we going to use, how often are we going to make videos, and what types of videos are we going to make.
Good stuff. Wes. I mean, not Wes, Nooch. I'm like looking at Nooch saying Wes.
Yeah.
What should we think?
When it comes to SEO, like I said before, foundationally your website has to be optimized. That's the foundation. And then beyond that, it's all about creating and building links. It's one of the most difficult aspects of SEO, but and we'll get into it. But the bottom line is, just like in life, people make judgments about you by who you associate with. In the same way, Google does the same thing, and therefore, who you associate with, who you are associated, who you are linked to, and vice versa, who links back to you, is a critically important component of getting that visibility. And so, link building, and we'll get into that. We're not going to get into it deep, but we're definitely going to touch on different tactics to be able to build those links. So the foundational is getting an optimized website, and beyond that, it's building links.
Awesome. Good stuff. And when it comes to social media, just very quickly, we talked about engagement. You got to focus on that. And then advertising. So you cannot just rely on the organic side of social. You've got to put some money behind it. And we'll definitely talk about that next week. And then, for example, if you're talking about Facebook groups, so Facebook groups, that's something that you definitely need to consider and be a part of groups, and or even starting your own groups. So those are some 3 things that I definitely want to point out. Wes, I just want you to, in a couple of minutes, just wrap us up by talking about advertising and budgeting.
Okay, so yeah, the most important thing I think when you're going into this is putting together a budget. Most people don't. Most businesses don't. Most of my customers don't. Somebody walks in the door with some advertising opportunity. The business owner goes, "Yeah, that seems pretty good. We'll try that." And that's not an advertising budget. That's the old throwing mud at the wall, as Nooch mentioned, and see what sticks. So you really need to consider sitting down and putting together a budget. You may not know how much you need to spend. You probably know how much you can spend, and that's more important. The important thing to keep in mind is not just the money, though. Also, you need to, and this has come up a few times today, you need to budget time. Most people don't put a time budget together. They don't put on their Google Calendar, okay, every Monday morning when I get in at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I'm going to ignore everybody. I'm going to leave my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm going to work on my digital footprint online for an entire hour. And they don't spend the time they need to do that. They have money they're going to throw at it, but they don't have the time that they've set aside. And you need that to give that consistency, as Kevin and Simone both said, and Nooch even. You need that consistently. A couple of you guys have mentioned that you had Facebook posts that went up to COVID and then stopped, and then 6 months later we're looking at starting up again. Well, you do need to start up again, but you don't want to start up again, do 6 or 8 or 10 more posts and then stop again. Consistency is huge. You have to just allot the time. You have to put it in. So it's not just allotting money, it's allotting time. And sometimes that's harder than throwing money at it. You may have some money in your budget to put at it, but you need to take time out of the week. And I'm always suggesting very first thing Monday morning, and one of the last things Friday, because you want to analyze how the week went. And Monday morning, you may want to make some significant changes to what you're doing with your social, with your plan for videos, what you're doing with your SEO, what you're doing with your pay-per-click come Monday morning again. So don't just put together a money budget. You need to do that. Also put together a time budget, put it on your calendar, and don't let people get in your way because they're going to, as soon as you put that on your calendar, you're going to have 100 things pop up that want to go, I just can't do it this week. I just can't do it this week. And all of a sudden it's 6 months later. You know how that goes. So just make sure you're budgeting time and money.
Thank you, Wes. So good stuff. So I put in the chat the PowerPoint for this session, just with some notes. So you can download it in the chat, but I will also email it out, because I'm going to be emailing a link to this recording in case you would like to watch it again. Or if there's somebody in your business who would like to watch it, then you can definitely share that with them. So we want to thank you very much for being here with us today. But before we wrap up, are there any questions, anything that, you had that's pressing that you might want to ask, something that we didn't cover? Any questions or any comments?
I just wanted to say hello, if that's okay.
Yes, it's so good to see you,
Good
Patty.
morning, everybody. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to join you for the session today. I've been like in 3 Zoom meetings at the same time this morning. But I just wanted to welcome everybody to the program. I'm Patty. I work for Jumpstart, so you've been getting emails from me. And really thank Simone's team for stepping up and helping us deliver this information. It is really a cool and interactive program, so you guys are on for a really exciting educational journey. As Simone had said, if you want to forward the recording to anybody on your team, feel free to do that. If there's anybody on your team who would benefit from a specific session, feel free to invite them to join us for that day. We really want this to be beneficial for you and your company. So just, let us know how we can improve. You will get a survey at the end. I just ask you really to answer the questions, be honest, because it does help us improve for the future. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me on like the operations side, or if it's any content specific questions, then Simone and her team will have all the answers.
Awesome. Thank you, Patty, and it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Any questions or concerns or comments?
They know it all.
Lyndon, I'm so glad to see that you're using Facebook groups and you're having fun with them. That's great.
One of our big things was we've had multiple Facebook groups and none of them were active, and so we were like, let's just get rid of them and start fresh and make this a valuable group to go into for parents. I mean, parents are struggling in every way possible right now, and so having as many parent groups out there that you can join has been, I'm in like so many parent groups and I'm not a parent, and it's been fun to be in and see what to bring to the table to provide content for them and what they're struggling with. So the Facebook groups have been super fun, and I'm really excited to be here and just to listen in and put some feedback and learn. So
we're happy to have you, and your contribution has been really good. So thank you for being here. And if you think that Facebook groups aren't important, I know people who go on Facebook and only go into the groups and leave. That's all they do. They're going into the groups and they're leaving. So groups are very, very important. And Facebook is putting a lot of emphasis on groups. And we'll talk about that next week. So we highly recommend that you get on some groups. Even better, as Lyndon said, you want to start your own group. So hopefully at the end of next week, maybe you'll be encouraged to start your own Facebook groups.
Our Facebook group only has like 53 people so far, but the 53 people are the most engaged people that we've ever had. That's awesome. And just another thing in our group is we are hosting live Zooms to get on a Zoom and like complain about parenting or just sharing things. And so these, not even in the group, but taking a Zoom call out of the group and connecting with these random people that you might not know and you might know has been super fun. It's the best part of the job. It's connecting and meeting and making these Zoom calls happen. It has been really fun. So
That is cool. I love it. And I just put it on my notes that I'm going to try to focus on groups next week because we don't really talk about it in depth, but I'm going to try and talk about it. So if you've got experiences with groups, then bring those with you so that we can talk about those next week. So next week is our Facebook session, and that will be Friday. So from here on in, this is the only session that's on a Thursday. Every session will be on a Friday. So next Friday will be Facebook, and that will be from 9:30 until 1:30. So we're going 4 hours. Every session will be 4 hours, except for the final session, which will be our wrap-up session. We're going to do one-on-one consults with you guys where you can spend 15 minutes with each of us individually, but that will be the total time that we'll be running. That will be 2 hours. But all the other sessions will be 4 hours. So I will be sending you out before every session the link and a reminder, and then later today or tomorrow I'll send you out the recording for this session. Thank you all. It's so good to see you. We're so happy to have you as a part of cohort number 8. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you soon.
Take care, everybody. Have a
Bye.
good day.
Thank
Thank
you.
See you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome. So
Good
I have
luck.
another meeting at 11:30.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Nooch.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too.
All the best.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.